Evening, folks. Tonight we're talking about solving one-step equations. So let's get to it. Here's some words that you need to know from the get-go. Go ahead and pause your video and write these down. Now that you've unpaused, the good news is you've been solving one-step equations since you were in second grade. Okay, 3 plus blank equals 7, algebraic equation. Blank divided by 4 equals 8, algebraic equation. We are simply going to make them a little bit more algebraic and grown up by using variables. So 3 plus x equals 7 is the same thing as 3 plus blank equals 7. So now that you kind of have an idea, you know a little bit about how to do this, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth. First thing you do is you look at your variable, you look at your equation, a divided by 6 equals 5. And you decide what has to be moved to get the a alone, get our variable alone. That's the big deal. The point is to get the variable alone on one side of the equation. In this case, we have to move the 6. Okay? And since it is a divided by 6 equals 5, we are going to use the inverse or opposite operation. What's the opposite of divide? Multiply. We're going to use the multiplication to get rid of this 6 and get the a by itself. So we multiply one side, the left side, by 6. Unfortunately, that's not enough. We have to do the exact same thing to the other side of the equation. So now we have 6 times a divided by 6 equals 5 times 6. Now the good news is on the left side, your 6's are going to cancel out, leaving you with only a on the left side. So we are left with a equals 5 times 6. So then we're going to write our answer in the form of x equals 4. The variable equals whatever the answer is. And it should look like a equals 30 in this case because our variable is 30. Then you're going to check your work. In order to check your work, you simply plug in the value that you found, in this case a, into the place where it goes, just like it's a formula. So 30 divided by 6 equals 5. If your statement is true, you have done your math well. If it is not true, you've got a mistake in there somewhere and you need to go back and check. Now this is our main menu page. It has several different topics. The left side is a little bit more about what we just talked about. It's written a little differently, and so I'm going to go ahead and click on those. And I'm going to click on them, and you're going to pause your screen and read through it. If there's anything that stands out to you that just makes a little more sense, then go ahead and write that in your journal. So define the definition of an equation. What is an equation? Okay, we have those words variable and constant in here. Pause your video and read your screen. Okay, balancing equations. I really like this idea of the balance beam, like the ones we use in science class. I really like that idea, and it's really helpful. Go ahead and pause your screen, read through what's on here, and write down anything that sticks out to you. Isolating x is a really important concept. We always want the variable alone on one side of the equation. So go ahead and pause your video, read the screen, and write down anything that stands out. And then solving one-step equations. Go ahead and pause, read your screen. If anything stands out to you or makes a little more sense this way, go ahead and write it down. Look at your equations down here. And make sure you read this information as well. Now the right side of our screen over here gives you specific examples, and you know how much I love examples. So please write down each of the examples. You need to write what's in the colored box, and you need to read what's in the other boxes. So go ahead and pause and do that. And then you're going to go to the next slide. We're going to pause again. The examples in the colored box. Read the rest of it. Write down what's in the colored box. Once again, pause. Write down what's in the colored box. And read the rest of it. And the same thing for the division equations. Okay. Now we have a review question. Solve the equation for x. 4 plus x equals 5. Go ahead and solve that in your notebook real quick. No, I'm just kidding. Pause your video if you have to. The answer should be A. If we subtract 4 from both sides, because we have to do the exact same thing to both sides, and we have to get rid of 4, then we wind up with x equals 11. Now, the next several slides are just practice problems like this. I've given you the equation. I've even given you the answer. That way, since we're just learning about it, you can go ahead and check your work right now without having to come to class first. So if you don't get what it's up in the top part in blue, then you need to look at your work and see what you're doing. And if you just can't figure it out, come to class. Those are great questions to come to class with. Alright, I will see you guys tomorrow.